Hello everyone, I'm Santiago, and today I'm gonna be testing Metal Gear Survive Open Beta on the GeForce GT 1030. For performance monitoring, I'll be using CAM. If you want to download the software, there's a link down in the description, and if you want to support me, there are Humble and Amazon affiliate links down in the description as well. So Metal Gear Survive Open Beta, I'll be doing 1080p, 900p and 720p. To skip any of those sections of the video, check the description below. First of all, I overclocked the GT 1030 on 1080p, but on 900p and 720p the overclock was disabled, so you can have an idea on how the card performs without overclock. And well, on 1080p it was impossible to maintain constant 60 frames per second, that's why VSync is disabled. I'll talk more about why I recommend using VSync in this game later in the video, but I wasn't able to maintain constant 60s, that's what I'm trying to say, even at lowest settings, so I just cranked up shadows and model detail to medium in order to maintain some of the graphical fidelity. Then I switched to 900p and I'll use the same settings as on 1080p, but this time around 60 frames per second is way more consistent. So if you want the highest resolution possible on 60 frames per second, 900p is what you should choose. And then when I switch to 720p, I can crank up the settings a little bit. I end up going for pretty much high settings for 720p, and it goes at constant 60 frames per second, and we have some room to spare. You'll see that the GPU usage will be close to 90% when there's a lot going on. This time around I didn't test the Ryzen 3 1200 because on this game it doesn't make a difference if you have an i3 6100 or Ryzen 3 or a G4560. Those CPUs are enough to maintain 60 frames per second on this game, and we don't get more CPU usage because the game is capped at 60 frames per second. That's also the reason why on some resolutions you'll see that the GPU usage will be low. And well, the options menu is pretty much the same as Metal Gear Solid 5. We only had the volumetric clouds option missing, but I found the performance to be very similar to when you are in the middle of the rainforest on Metal Gear Solid 5. That means a lot of post-processing effects because there is a lot of stuff just floating in the air, such as fog and some particles, so that makes it more demanding than just running around in the Phantom Pain. That's why I'm saying that it runs similar to Phantom Pain's rainforest. So I had to use a little lower settings than the Phantom Pain in order to get 60 frames per second all the time. So well, in order to get the best performance here, if you want to lower settings, I'll first lower post-processing, that's a huge hit to the frame rate, then effects, ambient occlusion, shadows and lighting. Those are the ones that have the major impact in performance. Post-processing and effects are the ones that make the most difference here, and you can also lower model detail a little bit if you want a few extra frames, that's the draw distance. But yeah, not much else to say. Also, I found the game to be very inconsistent despite being at 60 frames per second constantly, and the way to fix that, surprisingly, was to enable VSync. So I recommend enabling VSync if you're targeting 60 frames per second. For some reason the game that way feels way more consistent. It doesn't feel like it's skipping frames or something like that. But yeah guys, that's pretty much it. I hope you keep enjoying the video. Thanks for watching and see you next time.